Hey guys, welcome to the Lean to the Left podcast. Today we're talking politics, and with me are Arthur Hill from North Carolina and Robert Thompson from Georgia. I'm a Marylander transplanted into South Carolina, and together we're the Dixie Dems. Arthur's vice chair of the Brunswick County, North Carolina Democratic Party, and Robert's based in Atlanta, and he founded Peach News Now and its opinion Damn Liberals. That's GOT, Damn Liberals. Me, I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and spend my time hosting this podcast and producing the Lean to the Left blog site. Now, we're living in turbulent times, guys. Donald Trump's New York City hush money trial is underway. Even as sleepy, this cracks me up. Even as sleepy Don nods off in the courtroom where his future and fortune and even his freedom could be decided. At least now, Sleepy Don the Con and other variations are far outdistancing Sleepy Joe on social media. The Republicans, they're an absolute shit show with their fearless leader tied up in court. There's a revolt against House Speaker Mike Johnson underway, led by none other than Robert Thompson's favorite lawmaker, Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You know what I'm going to have to do, Bob? Before I'm going to
What do you-
interrupt you. I'm going to have to bring the wig back.
Bring the wig back. You should.
I think you should.
Why don't you go get it? Anyway, anyway, Green wants to get rid of Johnson because of his effort to devise foreign aid legislation aimed at helping both Ukraine and Israel in their respective wars. Nothing like trying to do something responsible. Oh no. Anyway, insiders say the vote to oust Johnson will be called, but nobody has any idea who would replace him. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So, guys, what's going on in your areas? Hey, Robert, since I brought up your favorite, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, why don't you lead us off?
So I've forgotten to share this with you guys, but now that our former president is in a hot mess of a trial, I think this is a quote from the lady that he paid off. And I'm just going to read it. And maybe you have to read it twice to let it all
Wait a
sink
minute,
in.
wait a minute. Did you just say from the lady he just paid off?
Yeah.
That he previously paid off.
You're talking about what's her name? Stormy Daniels.
Miss Daniels.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So,
Miss Daniels. Well, you're from Georgia. You're a Southerner, so you would call her Miss Daniels. You would. Okay.
I bet she has insurance too. But,
Okay.
all right. So I'm gonna read this and try to get all the way through it without laughing. So just bear
Okay,
with
go ahead.
I had no idea if he penetrated me, and I'm a professional. He just kept yelling, "I'm huge. I'm the greatest." And then he met a gurgling. I can't do it. I cannot make it through this. So he said, "I'm huge. I'm the greatest." And then he made a gurgling sound, and he fell asleep. But hey, it was a job, and the check cleared. I may have to repeat that because obviously I could not get through that in a single sentiment. But did you get the gist of what she said?
Oh, yeah, we definitely got the gist. Oh, shit.
No wonder the guy is wore out. He's old, and he's also, I hear, passing gas in court, and just bless his heart.
Bless his. Did you say bless his fart? Is that what?
No, but that'll work too. I mean, I guess you got to follow him around with Febreze. But
Did she make this statement under oath by any chance?
I'm not sure. So this is a meme going around, and it's so specific that it's hard to counter that it's not true.
Okay, maybe it's a deposition or something. She's under oath.
Maybe it's from her deposition because I think they deposed her for this.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but back to serious politics, and I would like to focus on some candidates. We have a primary coming up. We have a lot of really good quality candidates, unlike the clown car that we just talked about on the other side. I'll just say up front, I'm working with Ms. Keisha Waits. She's running for Fulton County Clerk. And just note that Fulton County Clerk is the office there that stamps all the documents, and it's quite a responsibility for the Fulton County Clerk here in Georgia.
Uh-huh.
Also, my friend and Robin Byro is running for a state Senate seat. Just remember that you may not have the same elected officials because there is some redistricting that happened, and there's many others here across our states that are coming up there. But you know what Republicans are worried about? They want to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary. They can't even get enough votes together to actually push that through effectively. I told Bob I had to tune to Fox News and risk my blood pressure going out of control watching Fox News. They basically have drones just flying around the southern border, and that's all they can talk about. And this may be but I teetered on possibly sharing this or not, but this whole border wall bullshit that the other side wants to put up,
No, watch your
remember,
language. Watch your language.
I know this is blood pressure coming through, but you know, the southern border and this wall and everything. I live in a pretty meshed area, and there are a lot of day laborers in their white vans that pass my home. These guys can stack a dozen ladders on top of a white van and go highway speeds. And Trump and his people somehow think that's going to keep the people out of the U.S. with some sort of wall. And I can see how that could maybe come across as a bit racist or what have you, but it's reality.
Wait a
You're
minute.
not going to keep these people out.
Do they have these ladders so they can get over the wall? Is that what you're saying?
No, these guys are actually here doing a job. They
Oh,
are
they're already
actually
here.
not
They're
bitching.
already here working.
Yeah.
Okay.
These
Okay.
guys will fill up all the gas pumps at the station at 7 a.m. to go and do their job for the day, and then they come back home late at night. They're actually here. They're actually doing the jobs that these other lazy ass Republicans just want to sit and bitch about. Again, that they can stack a dozen ladders on top of a van, and they think that somehow a wall is going to deter people from coming through the southern border. Good luck with that.
Oh man. That's pretty funny. You said that they're going to gas stations because I haven't been to a gas station in over a month because I got a new electric Mustang and I'm just real proud of it. And it's an incredible thing. But I go to this grocery store where you get discounts on gasoline. I'm going to tell them I want something else because I can't use their gasoline discount anymore because I don't buy gasoline. Just
Well,
that I'm
All these,
sorry. I'm going
all,
off on a tangent here. I'm sorry.
but no,
Go
all these
ahead, Robert.
things that we are talking about here they don't have anything to do with taxes. They have nothing to do with inflation. Yes, gas prices are up, but if you're the one out there driving a truck that gets 9 or 10 miles to the gallon, bless your heart.
Yeah, right.
It's not sustainable. Gas is not going to go down. Gas
Right.
is not going to go down to what it cost in 1990. I'm
Yeah, right.
sorry, it's not
That's
going to
right.
happen.
That's right.
But meanwhile, I can go to Kroger right now and go to the meat section at Kroger and buy meats for $5 to $10. And okay, gas is up. You've got other things that have gone up, but relatively, these things are not going to go down. And you've got these other things out there. Also, Georgians here, Republican, guess what? If you want to go to college, it's going to cost you at least 2 to 3% more to stay in state and pay in state tuition, thanks to Georgia Republicans who are caring less about that.
Mm-hmm.
And my blood pressure.
That's going up too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you got happening there in North Carolina there, Arthur?
We have a lot of fear and loathing going on in the state right now. Of course, we have the guy who's running as a Republican for governor, Mark Robinson, who you can Google him online and you'll come up with a long laundry list of scatological comments that he's made about various minorities in the past few years. And the Democrats at the state level, and probably also somewhere in the nation, are going to be reminding voters of that as we get closer to election day. And then we have added to that list is the woman who is running for superintendent of education, which is a statewide office, as a Republican, named Michelle Morrow, who appeared on CNN recently is saying that one of the things she's accused of saying is that she thinks that Obama and Biden ought to be publicly executed. She's also running for the superintendent of education, having homeschooled her children, and also vowing to get rid of all public schools in North Carolina. Difficult to see how she's going to be number one, elected, but number two, how she's going to be an effective leader of public education in the state. And then we have the Bobby Kennedy Jr. effect. Apparently, he has accumulated enough signatures to be placed on the North Carolina ballot, although the State Board of Elections hasn't finished counting them yet. You have to have 50,000 signatures, so it's probably going to take him a while to go through them all. But assuming that he gets on the ballot, there's been some polls that have come out that show at the moment he's got about, let me see, I think it's about, yeah, he's got about 7% in the polls right now. And the interesting thing is, who is that hurt, Biden or Trump? And the way it's working out, according to the pollsters, is it's about the same for both. Race between Biden and Trump is already in the margin of error in the state. This is going to be an interesting race to follow. Just one more reason it's going to be an interesting race to follow in North Carolina. But Biden is not without his resources. He was in Raleigh a few days ago, and he had a private fundraiser after appearing at a public event here and raised 2.5 million bucks in one short meeting with donors in the state. That's very encouraging. And we have a couple of folks who are running for statewide office that are very appealing. We have the current Attorney General, Josh Stein, and except he's neck and neck with Robinson. So we'll see how that goes as time goes by. And the race to replace Stein as Attorney General is between two members of Congress, one of them a Democrat who's very appealing, and the other one a Republican who's a member of the fringe minority or fringe Republican Party in the House of Representatives. Interesting things going on in statewide politics.
Okay, what the hell are you doing there, Robert? You're making this clicking noise. I see you with some kind of stamp. What's that all about?
I think we talked about this before. You've got an ability to literally, as long as this $10 Hamilton bill is going to be in circulation, that's going to say vote Biden and Harris and save America. And this is legal. So if it is for political reasons, I'm not a lawyer, but several lawyers have given an opinion this is legal. Okay. And you can circulate and get that in front of more people. I was reminded to stamp them.
Okay. I just wanted to have you point that out because people are going to wonder what that noise was. And that's what it was.
What does it say?
Save America, vote Biden and Harris.
Oh.
Can you show that? Can you show that? Put it up to the camera.
That's a great idea, actually.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. Yeah, you did talk about it last month, but it's a good thing to reprise that.
Because, and the reason why, before you get back to that, the 7% thing that Arthur is scaring us about. Remember, we all thought that Hillary was going to win?
Yeah.
You cannot underestimate what is going to happen between now and November. And the more, just for this example, having all those in circulation around the U.S. can remind people to do the right thing.
That's great.
And if somebody was really offended by that message, they could take it to the bank and get it swapped. They could get another $10 bill, a clean one.
Yeah, and give it to somebody that actually cares.
Yeah. Right.
No harm, no foul. Why not? First Amendment. Benjamin Franklin was a great believer in the First Amendment. Does it have to be a $10 bill?
No, this is marking money. And actually, I had another elder of mine here near me that used to do this, and they would mark money with rainbows because of the queer money going into the community to remind if there was any sort of queer issue on the ballot that, okay, you can do this, but look at all the money you're going to lose if you. So that's another breed or example of what has happened with this before.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I got to talk about some serious stuff here in South Carolina because they gerrymandered the shit out of the congressional districts. And the case went before the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court has dragged their feet and not done anything. So the primary elections, which are June 11, with early voting starting in May 28th, the locals here decided that we don't have time for the Supreme Court to act. And actually, the federal court, which had originally determined that the district lines were unconstitutional, that they discriminate against black voters. That same federal court ruled that the election would go ahead with the existing lines. That case all hinges on the first congressional district, which is held by Republican Representative Nancy Mace. And there are two Democrats running in the primary to challenge Mace. Businessman Michael Moore, who is an African American and whose great grandfather held that seat 150 years ago, as well as attorney Mac DeFord, who is a pretty forward looking guy. And both candidates are excellent candidates. I've had them on the Lean to the Left podcast, and their episodes are now streaming. So you guys want to check them out, go to podcast.leantotheleft.net and you can find them there. But the upcoming primary isn't the only date of political importance in South Carolina, because Senator Tim Scott, who desperately wants to be Trump's VP pick, has planned an early August wedding to his fiancée, Mindy Nose. And that's just weeks after the GOP National Convention. I guess he's hoping that he'll be anointed the VP running mate at the convention, and then he'll go into his wedding as such, and it'll be a big deal. But
I don't know.
I think there's a better chance that he'll just be newly married, and that'll be that.
So, are you going to go to the wedding? Have you been invited?
I haven't been invited. I don't know why. Because
I do.
why? Why do you think it is?
I just think that you probably have a couple of differences of opinion that have forever scarred your relationship.
I wonder if they're getting married in Mar-a-Lago.
I don't know. But no, it's going to be married, and I'm sure he'll be married in a church in South Carolina. He's very religious. He wears that on his sleeve. And I'm sure that's one reason why maybe he figures that he'd have a good shot at getting the VP nod with Trump, because Trump needs somebody to balance his evil, misogynistic reputation, I think, on the ticket. So anyway.
Apparently it's smelly too, but yeah.
Smelly. Oh yeah, you were talking about farting before. What is this show going to be serious today or not?
No, of course not.
Hey, we're trying. There's so much stuff here coming from that clown car.
Yeah. Hey, did you know that Nikki Haley got a new job?
She
got a new job.
State coordinator for the Republican National Committee, right?
No, not Nikki Haley. No, Nikki Haley. No, after she dropped her presidential nomination challenge against Trump. She just announced that she's taken a new job with the Hudson Institute, which is a conservative foreign policy think tank. And that kind of surprised me. I thought she was angling for something on Fox News or something, but apparently not. Because
paid more money by the Hudson Institute.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's the important news here, but it's not all that's happening in South Carolina, which is known for its dog-eat-dog politics. In fact, that's what's going on, as Charity Fowler was arrested on March 31st for alleged animal abuse after one of her dogs was seen eating another dog.
The dog was not being fed. Is that
I don't know. I don't know. The article in the newspaper was only about 4 paragraphs long, and it didn't give any of those gory details. It just said that a neighbor saw her dog eating another dog, and so she was arrested, and she was put in the hoosegow for about a day, and then she was released. Anyway. That's all I know about that. But I just thought it was important enough to bring up. I love this dog-eat-dog politics thing, huh?
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so. I thought you'd like that. All right. Now, hey, there's some other stuff we need to talk about. Abortion and immigration. What do you guys think about how those issues are playing out and how they'll affect the election? What do you think?
Just look at Alabama. You have a very decently red district that was flipped recently by a Democratic lady who mostly was talking about abortion. You have a minority stance that the Republican Party is taking on abortion, and it is not popular.
Mhm.
You have their candidates on paper, they're going to vote a certain way about it, but they don't want to discuss it because they know they cannot win these arguments when it comes to abortion. And
The Republicans have yet to win in an election that features abortion as a major issue. They have yet to win. They've lost every time, and I think they know it's a bad issue for them. And just to compound their problem, you've got Donald Trump declaring finally his position on the abortion question. Excuse me, and then the next day, the Arizona Supreme Court comes out with its decision that reverts the state back to a law that was passed before it was a state. And so all of a sudden you have the Republican standard bearer who said, let's leave it up to the states, having effectively to backtrack what he said 24 hours earlier by saying that the Arizona Supreme Court decision went too far, and he didn't think that was a good idea. It's a terrible issue for the Republicans, and I think that it reminds me of the dog who finally caught the car. What do we do now? They won on the Roe versus Wade Supreme Court decision, and now they don't know what to do about it or what they can do with it, and they're incurring the wrath of the vast majority of American voters. So I think it's a great issue for Democrats to run on, and it's a terrible issue for Republicans. As far as immigration is concerned, I think that some of that's going to be offset. It hasn't been a good issue for Biden, but some of that is going to be offset by the clown show that's going on in the Senate right now with this impeachment thing. Obviously, we're recording this before the actual trial, but it's pretty obvious that there's going to be no conviction in this impeachment trial, and the Republicans are going to look like fools for bringing it up at all. So I think that's going to offset a little bit some of the unwarranted criticism that Biden has received on the immigration issue. He could have been more aggressive. He could have done more, but he didn't. And the situation is not under good control, and it needs to be. And he needs to do something about it. But I think over the long term he will, and we'll all be better for it. We'll have a better solution under a Democratic administration than we ever would under a Trump presidency.
Yeah, I think that we can see that there's movement already, that these issues are playing against Trump. I saw something that came across my email today, the, something to the effect that Biden has closed the gap in the polls with Trump. I was looking for it here, but I can't find it. But basically, that's what it said. Have you guys seen that? Do you think that's really happening?
I've seen reports that he's either winning or within a percentage point in a number of different polls, not just one.
Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of different polls.
yeah.
I think his start
and,
was
and it's happening and it's happening because we're not seeing news stories to the contrary.
right.
Because how many of the stories were clickbait, honestly, over the past couple of months where Trump was leading, and then this happened, and of course nobody's talking about polling right now that I've seen. So
Right.
Yeah. Trump's a little preoccupied, having trouble staying awake though.
Mhm.
You know,
there's so much on his plate for such an old man.
well, keep talking about how old
Oh,
he.
and including we forgot to mention, because his cult is calling this out, that he is not able to make his son Barron's graduation
That's right.
because he's having to deal. You know who else doesn't make it to that is criminals that are in jail. You have to actually face up to what you've been doing over the past several decades.
Yeah, how
Yep.
about that?
And boo-hoo.
Yeah,
Hell, Barron probably doesn't even want him there. Probably his mother doesn't want him there either. Turned it into a freaking circus.
yeah. Now you guys mentioned Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a minute ago. He's continuing his run, even though the No Labels Party has called it quits because they couldn't find a credible candidate, which, cracked me up. At any rate, what are your thoughts about the Kennedy factor? You think that that's going to take away from, you mentioned a little while ago as to whether it would benefit or hurt Biden or Trump.
In North Carolina, yeah. But he's only on the ballot in what? One state, two states? He's Utah and anywhere else. He's trying to get on the ballot in other states, but right now I think he's only on the ballot in one.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I think this is just another ego thing that's going on with him. Why else would he be doing this? There's no chance in the world that he could pull this off. I don't think.
But of course there is. Of course
Yeah.
there isn't. And
Yeah.
and and he's going to have to share the third party vote with the Green Party and with the Libertarian Party. And they're all going to fight for the crumbs from the table. But the history of it is, yeah, you sure in North Carolina, the RFK Jr. is polling at about 7% now, but that's going to shrink. That's going to shrink as the Biden and Trump marketing and branding and advertising campaigns gin up later this summer. And I just think that by the time we get to election day, people aren't going to want to waste their vote. They're going to want to vote for somebody that and feel that they're honestly making a difference. And I think the Kennedy will probably disappear into the shadows just like any other third party candidate in the history of this country has,
Yeah, I think you're right.
with the possible exception of the Bull Moose Party.
Hey, you know what? If you guys would like to have a job at the Republican National Committee, you know what you got to do?
Go to jail.
Get out of jail.
Applicants there are being asked if they believe the 2020 election was stolen. And that apparently is a standard that they've got to meet if they want a job at the RNC, which just goes to show how Trump is solidifying his hold on the Republican Party, right?
Why would
Well,
you?
that's
Why would the first thing that you do when you take over a national party would be to fire all your state coordinators?
and on top of that, if maybe that's the strategy, he's going to put everything in that Tim Scott guy from South Carolina, but they've also abandoned all minority outreach. You are trying to win a presidential race on your dwindling base, and you don't give a damn about anybody else. That's a great campaign strategy. Or if we read between the lines, maybe all those legal bills just are adding up and they can't afford to really put any effort anywhere else.
Yeah. Robert, I see you have that fancy looking shirt that says American Family Insurance, right?
Insurance.
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 Is it insurance or insurance?
We live in the South. You got to say
Insurance.
insurance.
I know. I don't understand why they do that, but they do. Okay. Anybody else got anything to bring to the table today?
Yeah, I forgot to mention one thing about that happened in North Carolina in the last few days. We just had this state visit by the Prime Minister of Japan, and there was a big hoo-ha at the White House, and he got a free meal there, and it was wonderful. But he had the option to visit one state while he was on his trip, and he picked North Carolina. And the reason he picked North Carolina was because Japan has invested in the last 6 years $6.6 billion in the North Carolina economy. They got a huge Toyota plant, they got a huge Honda plant, and now they're going to put in a huge Fuji plant. Japan and North Carolina are really hitting it off these days. I forgot to mention that earlier. Sorry.
Oh, that's really
I actually have a good friend of mine that travels back and forth every week to work on the Fuji plant.
Oh, is that right?
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I believe they're also hedging their bets because one other thing that Trump claims he wants to do, which there was an article out there somewhere, I have to dig it back out, but all of the extra money that we have spent on Trump's trade tariffs. And you've got these foreign companies looking at that risk of, okay, I can make something cheaper here. The other thing in the middle of it too, like I said, gas is not getting any cheaper. So if you make it in another country, you got to get it here somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just go ahead and make it here instead of worrying with all the other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here in Georgia is also, we have a huge Korean investments and Kia, Hyundai, and the batteries that fuel those electric cars here in Georgia.
That's all positive. Hopefully the move to EVs won't slow. I've been reading that in Europe it's slowed down and that manufacturing of Teslas has been
Another point I was going to make about that these people that are claiming that gas prices are too high and they won't make any other changes in their life, that they want to just continue the status quo, burn through all the gas. To tell DC to control prices, that sounds a lot like socialism.
yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sure, doesn't it?
Which way you want to have it? You want to have it America, we're capitalistic, or shit's going to go up in price, sorry, because everybody's chasing their next dollar.
Yeah.
If you want to control prices, again, that's socialism.
We tried wage and price controls back when it was under the Ford administration, but by a Republican, no less. And it didn't work. It did not work.
But you know that these are complex matters. It's hard to reason with some of these people.
Yeah. There is a conspiracy theory going around that the Saudis are cutting back on oil production to hurt Biden in the election. I don't know whether there's any truth to that. I know that there have been reports that they're cutting back on production, but I don't know what their motives are.
I just want to bring to the fore a very important piece of news, and that is that the Baltimore Orioles have just defeated the Minnesota Twins by a score of 4-2 on a walk-off home run by Cedric Mullins. So
that's a sweep.
It's a sweep.
It's a sweep.
It's a sweet sweep.
That's great news.
That's right. So that's the
the
reason
Braves. I'll say my Braves are tied right now with Houston. So we still got several more innings to go.
Your Braves are tied with Houston.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess, Arthur, are we supposed to care that the Braves are tied with Houston?
Houston's last in their division, so the Braves losing to Houston is probably not a good sign for the Braves.
Yeah.
What a tough crowd here.
All right. All right. So much for that. Anything else anybody has that actually touches on politics, which is what we're here to talk about?
That's plenty for today. My blood pressure is shot. So.
All right. My remedy for that is to turn off Fox News. Just don't watch it. That's what I do at night. I stop watching the news at night. I watch music in bed now, and I don't even watch the 11 o'clock news anymore. It just pisses me off. Besides, there's plenty of other ways to get the news without watching the local yokels talk about dogs eating dogs and things like that.
But that's where you pick up stuff like this. That's where you get it.
That's true. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Listen, thanks so much. Great talking to you again. And another episode of the Dixie Dems is now finished and in the books. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Lean to the Left video and you found it interesting and informative. Please visit on a regular basis and check out our interviews with guests on topics that focus on progressive politics and the important social issues of our time. Now, our interview shows stream on Mondays with special episodes on Thursdays. And you can check out upcoming shows, guests, and topics at podcast.leantotheleft.net. Subscribe to our audio version there and to our video shows here at YouTube. And follow us on social media. Facebook at Bob Gaddy and the Lean to the Left podcast. Now, it's two. Bob Gaddy is one Facebook page, and the Lean to the Left podcast is a second Facebook page. Twitter at Lean to the Left 1, Instagram at Lean to the Left 1, TikTok at Lean to the Left, LinkedIn at Bob Gaddy, and YouTube at Lean to the Left. Now, I hope you'll support Lean to the Left as well so we can keep things going. Just click on the Donate tab at the top of the leantotheleft.net homepage and contribute by buying me a cup of coffee. That'll really help and would be much, much, much appreciated. Now, this is Bob Gaddy signing off for Lean to the Left. Thanks for sharing your time with us.